Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, good morning YouTube. It's 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and you guys are probably opening presents or just got done opening presents or waking up to Christmas. But what are we doing on this channel? It's Sunday. Christmas fell on a Sunday this year, and we're going to take old tinsel. You see me do some tinsel bowls, and we have these wooden beads left over from last year's Christmas little project that I did. But I ended up not using them, so we're going to take some tinsel, going to take these beads, put them together, throw them in some epoxy, and we're going to make a bowl. But if you saw the thumbnail, you know there are going to be some obvious problems with this project. So this is part of the marathon series. I ended up doing this back in March of 2022. I hopefully am home by now. I have a work thing that I'm doing, but obviously I had to get a Christmas project in, so went ahead, did this in March of 2022, getting the tinsel cut up, getting all the beads in there, pouring in all that epoxy. What you won't see is, after I took this out of the pressure pot, there was quite a bit that floated to the top, and just went ahead and took some red pigment resin dye, put that on top, and then this is what the blank looked like 4.5 hours later. Actually, it spent about 9 hours in the pressure pot total. I took it out after the initial one, and you didn't see me pour on top of the epoxy that had already set. So this is after 2 different pours and 2 different times in the pressure pot. So got that all done. It looks pretty amazing. I'm like, okay, this could possibly work. However, we're going to have some problems with it, obviously. So don't be stingy with your hot glue. Get everything else, nice and neat on there. Press that down. Then we're going to come fix the edges. Boop, 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 boop. There'll be a lot of sound effects, by the way, on this one. So I don't know where I am as of when this video released. I'm hoping that I'm home for work, so I hope everybody's had a great holiday, great Christmas, all that good stuff. But anyway, not a lot of people watch videos on YouTube on Christmas Day, by the way. So if you're watching my video, thank you again every time you guys watch. So anyway, got everything glued up, got the faceplate on there. Now we're just going to go ahead and get that onto the lathe. And I'm thinking, by this time it's early in the morning, somewhere around this time, if I could remember doing what I was doing. But getting the superficial layer off, just like we always do with all of our projects. This part didn't go too terribly. Big problem will come a little bit later, and I knew the problem initially when I put it into that little pot. I've used that mold in particular projects before, but I just got a little too ambitious, I think, with this, or the chuck was just not, the wood turning gods were not on my side this day, I guess. But superficial layer, getting all of that off. Obviously we're going to have to take bigger bites. You can see we're getting pretty good shavings off of it, and we're just coming back, hitting it with a round carbide tool, getting everything nice and even. You can see there we still need to take a little bit more off, and you definitely feel that on the chisels from where the bottom of the epoxy is to the top of the actual blank itself, going from different medians of epoxy versus that of wood. So a little bit different there, but overall I'm pretty happy with where we're at by this time in the project. And now we're just going to start rounding off the bottom, taking more material off the top where the faceplate is. And I keep forgetting to readjust the banjo in a lot of these videos. I had a little bit of slippage there if you go back and watch that. But by this point, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm, not too concerned with it. So just taking off that bottom portion, going to get everything nice and flush so we can go ahead and start making the mortise here in just a little bit. And just, taking our time, getting that, cool shavings off. And I'm like, boom. Not too bad. Not too bad. I guess maybe not. This is actually the first time I've watched this, so bear with me. I'm doing a lot of commentaries today. So we got this done. Rest the chisel on top. All nice and even. Look at that. Spinning. Super easy. I don't know why I'm coming back and redoing this. It looks fine. Why do I keep messing with it? Guess I wasn't happy with it. But there it is. Now we're going to go ahead and make the mortise. I decided that my square carbide tool by this time is a little dull, so getting a little bit better workout with the round carbide tool versus the square one. But we're just coming back and forth, making the mortise. And maybe I didn't make the mortise large enough. Maybe I think I just had a bad episode on this one, and you'll see what happened. I was a little tired. By the time I got to this actual project, I had done like 2 or 3 other bowls earlier in the day, and maybe I was just like a little burnt out, and that's possibly what happened. But got the chuck, pretty much almost to where we want it. Getting a nice depth. Had plenty of material for the chuck to hold on to. But as you'll see here in just a little bit, we're going to have a catastrophic failure. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty much set up. And there's a little bit of a gap here, so I thought, instead of taking, all that time to turn it down on the lathe, just go ahead and smack the hell out of it and get that superficial piece of wood off, which initially did work. So you saw me off camera a little bit, just trying to pry this off because I am very, very, giving with my hot glue because you got to have everything attached. So got that all off a little bit later. Now we're just going to come back, center everything up, get that superficial layer of glue off, which, this part goes relatively easy. I guess I got a lot of wobble, and I guess maybe that's why I kept coming back to the side of it, because I just had a lot of distortion on the lathe. Watching the video, I don't see a lot of issues, but I guess I felt something on the chisels that I kept coming back and trying to make everything as even as humanly possible. So by this time, pretty happy with everything. Just getting that superficial layer off, getting everything nice and balanced, and pretty happy with it. So here is where we're going to have some issues. And if you just stop the video or go back and watch this a couple of times, you can see how oblong this is. This is a long, large pot. I guess this is it's not really a bowl, it's more of a pot. And initially I'm getting pretty good material off. I'm really happy with where we're going. But you'll see here, it's just not going to work out for me. And you can see how small the bottom is. So it could have sat a little bit better. I think if the base where the headstock was a little bit bigger, that probably wouldn't have happened. So that flew off the lathe. And I'm like, okay, we got a little bit of problems here. I'm a little frustrated. Not thinking what I'm doing, or I'm thinking what I'm doing, but I'm thinking about how I want to go back and attack this. So get everything, tied in, cleaned up. Hey, look at that! Look at that! That's my little, it's my mole tattoo. That's my wife's spirit animal. So that was a cool shot. Did not see that coming. So anyway, get it back onto the lathe, spinning, and you can see there's a little bit of wobble there, and I know that. And my stupid self, instead of taking my time and going back and get everything centered, I went back straight to gouging. And I think I knew in my heart that it didn't matter how much I recentered everything, I was still going to end up with the same result. And I can definitely feel it on the chisels. I'm obviously using several different tools here, and I'm going back and forth. And by this time, I'm like, okay, see, bam, happened again. So by this time, I'm surprised I didn't throw anything. So then I went ahead, reset yet again, and was like, okay, screw this. I know this is going to keep happening. So I decided, hey, cut your losses, get something out of it. Took the parting tool, and then I began to just basically cut this in half because I knew there was just too much material. So ended up taking the parting tool, getting everything taken care of, and then I just took the handsaw and cut it off. And you can see all this material that was left over. Obviously, you saw that in the thumbnail. But I think this was for the best. Sometimes things just don't work out. You got to try to salvage. I was already tired from doing 3 other projects this day probably, and I was just, really frustrated with it. But went back, cut it in half, and now we're just going to make this small little cup versus a very much, a larger project, which unfortunately we didn't get done, and, it didn't work out the way we wanted to, but I wanted to have something because, I've said this hundreds of times on the channel, I show failure on this channel. If I mess up, or if I'm not successful with something, because I'm an amateur, I'm very much an amateur at woodworking, even though I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. Things just don't always go your way. So this is all that's left of this project. It's more of a cup than it is anything else. So, overall, this part went relatively easy, sanded it, all that fun stuff that we usually do. But it just didn't work out. There was no Christmas miracle on this one. But anyway, I hope everybody's having a good holiday. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Like I said, hopefully I'm home by now from work and get back in the shop. But here we are. These are all the shavings that are left. Like I said, this was part of the marathon projects. Now we're going to sand. This is all that we have left. Sorry for all the coughing. But here's what the workbench looked like afterwards. This is what it looks like before you sanded it. Workshop's a mess from dozens of other projects. So I'm gonna get this sand up 320 all the way up to 1500, and then I think we did do some wet sanding too on this one as well. I'm not sure, but like I was saying earlier, hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope everybody's having a good holiday. Like I said, if you're watching my YouTube videos on Christmas, really appreciate it. But go spend time with your loved ones too. Don't forget to do that. So getting that wood wax on there, getting everything polished up nice and neat. You can see it still turned out cool. That little cup still turned out pretty cool. It's just, it's so small. I'm like, what would you even do with this thing? Look at this. It's translucent and shiny. It looks cool. But did not work out the way we wanted to. But anyway, alright, that's enough of me rambling. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope everybody's having a good holiday. Hope I'm home by now. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Like I said, this was part of the marathon. And fun little project that unfortunately failed on us. So don't forget to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Alright, so this is all that's left of this little guy. So this is obviously being released on Christmas, but I think this is kind of fitting. Just, things, you don't always get what you want for Christmas, but it's the people that who you're around and enjoying having a good time, even though things get frustrating sometimes around the holidays. This is a good reminder of that, because we show failure on this channel, and it's still a good Christmas. So I hope everybody's having a good Christmas out there, a good holiday, even though this is all that's left. I obviously meant for this to be bigger. Obviously that did not work out. I kind of knew that going in. That's why I just kind of cut my losses early. I'm sure I went over that in the commentary. I mean, I could have kept going, but I knew the wobble situation. It's so narrow on those that it's just not conducive for what I wanted it to do. So here it is. This is all that's left. It still looks cool. It's something which is better than nothing, and being grateful. So really happy that we got something out of it. So hope you guys liked it. Hope everybody's having a good holiday. Like I said, don't know where I am around this time, but hopefully I'm home by now. But hope everybody's having a good Christmas, good holiday, and I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? All right, so peace out. Bye.